In this review, we're going to be talking about the battle of the two Nicolases and why Renfield is one of the biggest surprises for me all year. Hello Flickering Myth family and welcome to our channel. My name is EJ and in this video, we are going to be discussing the good, the bad, and the Nicolas Cage when we talk about Renfield. Holy smokes, I did not know I was going to enjoy this movie as much as I did. I don't know why I walked in with lowered expectations. Maybe it was the marketing, some of the trailers weren't my favorite. I also had the feeling that Universal was going to try to make their own low-budget, schlocky, campy, bad movie. And you know, you can't manufacture those kind of movies. They just happen. So I was a bit hesitant, but by the end of it, I looked over at my friend next to me and I said, wow, that was a real movie. There is a lot going on here. It's a genre-busting experience. There is a lot of action in this movie, very bloody action. There is a lot of homages to classic horror. There's just really fun horror moments in here. And also, it doesn't forget to be funny. Usually with horror comedies or comedy horrors, I get nervous because it's going to be one or the other. It's hard to find something that perfectly fits in the middle. I think Cabin in the Woods is one of the only movies that I found to be genuinely funny and also really scary without losing itself to either genre. This reminds me of that a bit. It's a bit more on the wacky comedy side. We have Nicolas Cage playing Dracula and Awkwafina, Nicolas Hoult. Like, it's going to be a comedy, but I love that this feels like a classic respect, a love letter to what we love about Universal horror movies. It's so hard to find people who still love these kind of movies. So we found Chris McKay, who directed the hell out of this with really fun talent involved. The good when discussing Renfield, it's pretty easy. Nicolas Hoult, Awkwafina, and Nicolas Cage. Did not expect to like Awkwafina in this movie as much as I did, but they found a good way to use her type of humor. Sometimes I feel like directors don't really know what to do with Awkwafina. They either let her improv too much or they just don't know how to write her as an actress. And I found this to be some of the strongest comedy acting from Awkwafina. It also helped that she was working with Nicolas Hoult a lot of the film. I do feel their chemistry was less romantic that they tried to hint at here, and they felt like really good friends. But overall, I really like these two together. Nicolas Hoult, I've liked this boy for years. When he was Hank in the X-Men prequel movies, I loved him in The Menu last year, The Favorite a couple years ago. He's a strong actor, but he's been needing a leading role just like this, and he makes it his own. Renfield is an iconic character, like Peter McNichol in the 90s, we all had like Dwight Fry back in the 30s. There is a lot to do with the Renfield character, and he makes homages to those classic performances, but still makes this his own. I actually cannot believe I would see another Renfield movie, especially if Nicolas Hoult is back front and center. Put him around better supporting people too, and you can make it an even better sequel than what was presented here. I also really loved the opening of this movie. It was pure, like, Todd Browning, like, let's talk about Dracula, and I wanted that. I was like, almost like, can we do most of the movie in black and white? It was just really fun. It's a really good callback. We knew that Universal was establishing what it was doing. We're talking about Universal horror monsters, we're doing Dracula, and we're gonna do it our way. It's a bit Universal, but it's a bit schlocky, over-the-top comedy. It's a hard balance to find, but they balanced it really well. The horror in here is fun. There's moments where I was genuinely like, that was kind of creepy. Good job. Like, again, there's a lot of comedy. There's a lot of just slapsticky moments, a lot of gore that's kind of used for comedy's sake, but it's still effective. You still go, wow, you really like ripped that person's arm off or beat them with this. It's just, it's an engaging experience, not on the level of like an action scene like a John Wick, but it was compelling action that made the horror even better. Yeah, there's just a lot of pieces here that really come together to make it a fulfilling experience. That good beginning, middle, and end with the story, enough that happened to keep me engaged, a short running time so they didn't overstay their welcome. This is the kind of movie I wanted to see this spring. With a comedy film, it's subjective. Comedy is one of the most subjective things in the world. We can all say that was a good drama or that movie scared us, but not everything makes everyone laugh. There's moments in this movie where I find the comedy to be a bit not funny. It's some of the jokes I was just like, that didn't work. It was like they threw like 10 jokes at you. Maybe about 7 of them land, but those 3 that did not land, they were pretty duddy. It's hard to just be kind of mean to the comedy because it is strong in moments, but I have to say, yeah, some of the weaker comedy moments definitely stick out, make this a bit kind of We also have Ben Schwartz, who is kind of known as playing John Ralphio in Parks and Rec. He's been in a couple other things. I find his character to be a bit annoying. The villains of this movie, which is him and maybe possibly his mother, like, they have some very, like, old school mafia vibes that I thought played well with someone like Dracula, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting, like, very evil organization wants to work with the evilest of evil. I get it, but I was just like, I could have had better villains here. Like, sometimes I think we sidetracked Nicolas Cage's Dracula to give me the mafia story where it's just like this boy's trying to impress his mom's like a bloodthirsty, crazy woman, and I'm just like, maybe make her a vampire. You know what I mean? There was like layers that they could have done to add more to the villain to make it a bit more fulfilling. But honestly, these are my only negatives. Like, my bad section is truly some of the comedy doesn't work and I don't love the villains. But again, in this whole movie that I did not expect to love as much as I did, I will take it. And again, the man, the myth, the meme that is Nick Cage, he was used well here. Recently, it's been like the Nick Cage renaissance. It's been happening for a while, going back to Mandy, going back to various other things. We're not at, Bad Lieutenant, New Orleans. Remember those bad movies he used to make in the early, like the mid 2000s? Well, later on in his career, he's been doing really fun, mostly weird cult movies like this. And boy, he's used to perfection here. Wow, I did not expect Nick Cage's Dracula to be one of my favorite Draculas ever. Like, he owns it so well. Like, in the different forms he takes, there's moments where he's a bit more, like, burnt and decrepit. He was acting through that makeup so well. There's moments where it's just full Nick Cage, and there's a theatricalness to it. He is camp in this movie. He is at an 11 in the best possible way. Not screaming Nick Cage, not like, the yelly meme that we think of Nick Cage. It's more over the top in a very theatrical, old school, old universal way. I love that. I thought he understood the assignment well. Again, all the actors did. I like Awkwafina, Nicolas Hoult. All of them really understood what they needed to do. But Nick Cage said, I'm going to play Dracula and I'm going to give you everything. There was classic homages to Dracula stuff, like the opening where they're very much trying to do Bela Lugosi. Great. But later on, when he's playing the abusive boyfriend, I love the message of this movie where he's like a toxic, abusive boyfriend to Renfield, and it's just like creepy and like how he manipulates this guy. And Renfield just wants a life. He wants to move on, find love, find to be a good person, but he can't under Dracula's thing. That was such a fun story. I loved the Nicolas Hoult and Nicolas Cage scenes together. I've seen them on the press tour. They're amazing together. That chemistry is in the movie. As much chemistry as Awkwafina and Nicolas Hoult do not have, I think Cage and Hoult have all of it. They are a perfect pair and make this so fulfilling. I cannot believe Nick Cage, after I did not like The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent and found that to be too much Nick Cage, now here I'm like, I could have used more Nick Cage. I can't believe those words just came out of my mouth. Well, that is it for my breakdown of Renfield. I thought it was good. I thought some of it was not great, but overall, it was a fun experience. This is the perfect, like, halfway to Halloween movie. I got to throw on my little bat shirt. I got to talk about a movie I genuinely enjoyed. Yeah, I cannot wait if the spooky season's gonna have movies like this that I get to rewatch, because I will probably rewatch Renfield in that October season because it's perfect getting into the mood for Halloween with fun and friends. Oh my goodness, cannot wait to talk about this more. So share your feelings down in the comments below. Did you see Renfield yet? Are you curious about it? Let me know all your thoughts down there. Subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and let's talk about Renfield right now.